glad you could come along.
I put a spell on you.
Grid is live. Initiate light cycle battle.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
For a safe trip, remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the cabin. Be sure to watch your children, and no smoking, please.
All right, guys, welcome back to Pirates and Princesses. This is Tom and Cam. Together we are Cam and Tom.
That's right.
And
Hi.
I'm guess who's who?
I'm Tom.
Yeah, she is. He is. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're gonna talk about Disney news, Universal news, lots of news this week. Lots of surprising news too. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some things like the new disability access service changes have started. There's some interesting stuff about that. We have a grandma groping Goofy. We have Pixar layoffs. There's some announcements for Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, Star Wars, Pirates, Kingdom Hearts. Oh my.
Oh my.
So let's start off with the new DAS Pass changes. So the DAS Pass changes, I believe, started yesterday. And to be able to qualify for a disability access pass, service pass, you have to do a phone interview now. Unlike Universal, where they have people that are medical professionals and you can submit medical documentation to show that you have a disability that doesn't let you stand in line. Apparently, they're not doing that. They have professionals, quote unquote, that you can speak to. But it sounds like a lot of people are being denied and they're being asked questions like, can you stand in line at the store?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, standing in line at the store for 5 minutes is not the same thing as standing in line for 45 minutes to an hour at Disney parks.
Yeah.
And they're telling them to practice standing in line.
Wait, hey, kids, we're getting ready to go to Disney, so let's practice standing in line.
Your
That's
disability is not getting better, but practice standing in line.
That actually is good advice for anyone going to Disney because you're going to be standing in line a lot.
That's right. Practice standing. So that's going on, as well as apparently if you get the disability pass, you're waiving your right to sue Disney for it, allegedly. So I think when it comes down to it, the disability access service changes, I believe, are to increase profits. Because after Genie Plus came out, the disability access pass abuse was times five times what it was before. So I think what's going on is they're trying to, I do think there's abuse. There's no question there was abuse. I think they're going too far the other way to correct the abuse. And I think both things can be true simultaneously. And I think that they're doing this because they need those record profits to offset all the dang losses in streaming and in theatrical.
Yeah, that's what's kind of scuzzy about this is like they're not doing this to rehabilitate the system. They're doing it because they're trying to get more money out of people.
That's my opinion, but I think a lot of people have the same opinion.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing people that got denied. And like one lady, I saw a story and her daughter's, I think it's her daughter, is 8 and has autism. And they basically were like, well, she's old enough to understand it now, so.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was abused. I mean, it was abused heavily. We saw people, 10 years ago.
I think it was under GAC then. But yeah.
It was under GAC back then. But I mean, we saw people that were just like, they used it as a get on, basically an infinite fast pass. They would get right off and get right back on.
But they changed that to this, which means you have to, basically, if the wait time is an hour and a half, they'll schedule you a return time within an hour and a half. And you can't get another one until you do that one, which I think was, a good way to go because people still had to wait. Their argument is, I think what they're saying was that if you're with a group, your group should be able to wait in line for you while you go someplace else, and then you can come get in line. And I'm like, well, unless they start adding some access points to lines, we're going to have some fist fights and some issues because now when people try to get to rejoin their party, there's a fight. We've seen many, many, many fights. If someone has a problem walking or standing for long periods of time for different reasons, if they have to leave the line and get back in it, they have to go through the crowd, and like wobble through the crowd to get back to their place in line with their group. I mean, there's so many different issues. Unless they're putting access points at different locations that you can get back in line without causing problems, I think they're going to have more problems.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time Disney tries to fix something, a lot of times they actually make it worse.
I don't think this is about fixing it. I think it's about fixing their money.
Yes.
Because they're like record profits. And we already are having, people are like celebrating this, like, yeah. That means these people aren't going to abuse the system, which I agree. The ones that are abusing the system shouldn't be allowed to abuse the system. I don't disagree with you on that. That being said, if you're making everybody go get Genie Plus and that's their solution is go spend more money to buy Genie Plus, which is I think what they're telling some people.
Yes.
You're just going to raise the cost of Genie Plus because they're going to be like, oh, supply and demand, and there's a huge demand. They're not giving a discount to people that, or disabilities that we'll give you a discount at Genie Plus Lightning Lane. No. And they're going to be raising the prices. They'll say, oh, demand. There's so much demand. We have to raise the prices.
Yeah. They're trying to push, I think to justify Genie Plus, they're trying to put as much into that app as possible, make you use it as much as possible. But
the thing is, I don't think, with the Lightning Lane access and stuff, the lines are so long. They're like stretching for the Lightning Lane and Genie Plus accesses. The lines are so long. They're stretching outside of the queue outside of attractions. So the regular standby line's way shorter. Now, granted, they put a lot of people through faster in the Lightning Lane, but the lines are already stretching way, way out. And that's Lightning Lane. So if you're in standby, you're going to be there all dang day. But I'm just like, so you're supposed to, and you're only allowed to have so many at a time. I just don't think this is a very good plan. There's basically just trying to make more money for Disney. Yeah, they don't care about your convenience.
No, they haven't in a long time. This is why it's so hard to cover Disney objectively anymore. Because in the last 10 years, we've seen this company change, and not for the better. And you can't blame it on Bob Chapek. Just this company has become ridiculously greedy. And it's all about, basically they're spinning a lot of plates and they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if something else is down, and they have a lot of things that are down now, particularly the box office, then they always go back to the theme parks and they always gouge the theme park customers.
Yeah. Well, that's what's going on because they're having a lot of the parks money is offsetting their losses for other things. But interestingly enough, I didn't even catch this, but I'll have to add this to another article. At WW News Today, they pointed out that when you take the DAS system and use it, you agree not to file class action lawsuits and more. According to the terms of service, all right, it says, I understand that after an individualized decision regarding my personal circumstances, I may be offered DAS alternative accommodations or no accommodations at all. So you're not even getting DAS if you call to inquire.
Right.
You're saying, I understand that I might not get those things. I agree that any lawsuit I may file or participate in challenging this decision, the individualized discussion or the overall process itself shall be conducted only on an individual basis, and you cannot do a class member or purported class consolidated representing action or proceeding.
Okay.
That's bull crap.
But they tried this crap before. If you read all the way at the bottom in this article, similar terminology was added to the terms and conditions for Disneyland Resort's Magic Key Passes following a class action lawsuit regarding blockout dates. The verdict was actually in favor of the pass holders, and Disney has to pay out of the settlement. So just because a company puts that language in the contract or in the fine print doesn't mean it's enforceable.
But that's still you're telling us now that you knew.
Yes.
It was good. It was crap.
Yes.
It was unfair.
Yes.
And it was going to cause problems.
Yes.
And you're basically like, if you apply it all, even if we tell you no, you can sue us individually, but you can't do class action.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, because I have a strong suspicion there's going to be a class action lawsuit here because they're turning down I understand. Don't get me wrong. There are some people who don't need it, and I completely agree. However, they're telling Black people who are like actually labeled disabled by their states and everything else that they don't need it. And sometimes you do. And they're like, well, there's other accommodations, which I do agree there's sometimes other accommodations. But it sounds like a lot of their other accommodations is you wait outside the line and try to get back into it.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to go well because, again, you can put terminology like that into a contract. It doesn't mean that the courts will find it enforceable. I mean, if you put fine print on a McDonald's hamburger and they're, feeding you all kinds of crap or whatever, I'm not to use McDonald's, I don't want to invoke them, but, fast food chain, and, everybody gets food poisoning, but you put in really fine print on the wrapper that if you eat this hamburger, you can't sue us because, you know, that's
It's
not
not
really.
even, they didn't even get to eat the burger. They just
No.
asked if they could have the burger. They got told no, they couldn't have the burger, and you can't sue us for not letting you have the burger.
But most people, that's the thing too.
I'm like, this is nuts.
Are people even going to be aware that that is in the fine print?
Well, they're going to be aware now because I'm going to do everything I can to make sure people know.
A lot of people are. So that's why, you know, so the judge is going to look at that and be like, look, is this something that you made very clear to people? Because it sounds like this is something that most people would assume you couldn't do. You
It's
can't
buried
just,
in the terms of service.
you can't just be like, okay, if you come into Disneyland, you literally, because if that were the case, you'd be like, hey, you're coming to Disneyland today. You literally cannot sue us for anything. If you trip on a rock and fall because we just put a rock out in the middle or whatever, you know, you can't sue us for, you're not allowed to sue us for anything. They already try language kind of like that with, you know, the tickets and stuff, that there's certain things you can't sue them for. But yeah, I mean, companies can try this, but it doesn't mean it's gonna fly.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting there because they know they're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Yeah.
and like I said, where there's a lot of people who were abusing the system, they were talking about how there was different travel agencies that were coaching people what to say to lie to get the DAS passes and stuff. Like, completely agree that that's terrible and we need to stop that. I 100% agree. But I'm also hearing stories about people that make sense why they need, you know, return times and things like that. It doesn't make sense to me that your party can go up in line. And what if you're by yourself? There's no one to wait for you. But your party can go in line and wait for you, or you can go sit by yourself. Well, that's great, except what if you need assistance, you know? Or you can go sit by yourself and, you know, what if you have, like, if you have seizures or something, and you seize up and, you know what I mean? There's just different things there. But yet the people that they're allowing to have the pass because of neurodivergent reasons, like they don't like lines, they're allowed to not wait in line. But then somebody might physically be unable to for different reasons. And they're being told, nope, sucks to be you. And even the neurodivergent and the autism thing, they're denying a lot of people for that too. So I don't know. I think it's very nebulous. And I think that's going to get them in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and they think it's going to get them in trouble too. Hence this really weird terms of service clause. So there's that. We're going to talk about Country Bears now.
Yeah, so they're getting all tarted up.
So, okay, you guys, I think I did mention about the Tinkerbell issue, and the rumor was that they were, which I, again, don't think this is the case, but the rumor was that Tinkerbell was on the short list to be, you know, changed out because she was, you know, problematic body standards and stuff like that. And her outfit was skimpy and all this other stuff. Well, now they did a Country Bear glow up. Yeah, the bears that were the girls in the front that looked like men in dresses. But anyway, Bunny, Bubbles, and Beulah. Now it looks like they fixed the animatronics too. Like, they don't look the same now. Like, they have more defined feminine features. But they have these cute little outfits, except they're wearing like little tutu mini skirts and halter tops with vests.
I actually, I gotta tell you the truth. I actually like the redesign because
I like the redesign too, but I think it's weird they gave them belly shirts.
Yeah, it is. And for all this, like, oh, hey, we're, you know, it's problematic. Like, yeah, they have a holder top, but like the originals, they look like these adults that think they're babies.
Yeah, they do. And not just that, they aren't wearing pants.
They're not wearing
now they're wearing pants.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, though, when they're talking about unrealistic body standards and wearing skimpy costumes. They've made Jasmine cover up more and everything else. Then they bring the Country Bears out in little short mini tutus.
They have fur coats.
Tops.
They're already fully dressed.
I know. I just think it's funny. But they have little pink hats and little, like, white vests. I mean, it's cute. And the faces look better, too.
Yeah, they actually look feminine. Like I said, they look like a bunch of, I mean, I know they're classic.
Is that okay current year, though?
I don't know. You just assume their pronouns, but they look like middle-aged men who are pretending to be babies. You know, and I've seen. I mean, you think I'm joking? I've seen pictures of middle-aged men wearing diapers,
identifying as babies. So, I mean, they're cute. And they were talking about, like, there's a little thing on Instagram. If you go out to piratesandprincesses.net, I have it up. And they talk about how they make the costumes and where they add extra little gussets, and they have to make sure things are, you know, because it moves a lot. They have to make sure seams are done a certain way. And my mom's a seamstress and I sew. So it's kind of interesting to see that. But they have a new look. They're getting ready for this new Country Bear musical jamboree where Bob Iger is changing out all the songs for IP-based songs. And they're making it look like an Opry-style show. So it's definitely not going with the older. It's like I don't know, a newer Opry style show, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, when the show came out originally, it was the 70s. And even then, it was kind of the style of country music they were using was kind of dated, even by 70s standards. I mean, just have an animatronic Dolly Parton and call it a day.
No, that's at Dollywood. You can't do that here.
No, you can't do that.
So that's interesting, but that's I mean, they look cute, but it is weird that they put them in halter tops when they were going on about, covering other people up. This was interesting. Disney won a lawsuit against social media fake merchandise sellers.
Yeah, so we actually covered this in a video extensively in another channel, but yeah, the guy who was selling the mouse ears, is it what's the name of the company again?
It was Christopher and Hannah Martin, and they were calling it like the Secret Disney Group, and then they were calling it also Sparkling Dreamers. Yeah,
so this is one of those few times I actually agree with Disney and suing somebody, because this guy was given multiple warnings.
Yeah, he was given 2 cease and desists.
Yeah, and he wouldn't do it, and he actually flaunted it. He actually went to Main Street and started selling his mouse ears.
Yeah, some people said who saw the stream that he was soliciting on Main Street his own merchandise, not his body. Better clarify that. Yeah. And he was trespassed. And that was like March of last year. And he was like filming getting trespassed and everything else. And I guess he was permanently banned from Disney parks, even though he was at Disney Sea. So apparently that must have got overturned. So the mouse but the selling in the park was 2 months after he was slapped with a lawsuit. And he still went to the park and did that anyway. And I guess they had it listed as that their location was Walt Disney World originally. And they tried to trademark some logos that looked like Disneyland's logos.
Yeah,
it was like Beauty Castle.
I think that was just playing with fire. I mean, that was my
dumb.
Like, it wasn't just like, because there are a lot of people on Etsy and elsewhere that sell Disney inspired merchandise, and you really can't do anything if it's Disney inspired or you make clear it's not officially Disney merchandise. What they were doing is they were kind of leading people to believe that they were officially affiliated with the Walt Disney Company, and he was given multiple opportunities to knock it off, and he wouldn't do it.
No. So they got sued. Now, they did not get punished that much. They basically had to agree to shut down all their stores, which they did. And if they ever infringe on Disney again, they had to pay $100,000 probably per instance, I'm guessing. But that finally got wrapped up. That's been going on for a couple of years now, I think. I know we talked about it, not on here because we weren't doing podcasts then, but we talked about other channel that he'd gotten trespassed and stuff.
Yeah. So I just, word to the wise, don't sell bootleg Disney merch, because it's not going to go well. They'll get you. Apparently.
So we're going to jump from that one to another weird story. Grandma groped Goofy. So apparently at Epcot, on February 19th around 10:30 a.m., based on a police report, that a woman, there was a family of 4, and one was a grandma because she had a shirt that said Nana Mouse. And she was like 60s or something. And the family stayed on the one side of the actor in the costume, and she was on the other side of the actor in the costume. And she put her arm around him and her hand on his butt, and apparently squeezed hard enough of the costume he could feel it like multiple times, and was saying woohoo. So the PhotoPass photographer saw it too, and they called for the handler and security, and they basically left. No one got arrested. Like, they didn't get in trouble. I mean, apparently they didn't get in trouble for it. But they said that the photographer said as they were walking away, the dad was like, the father in the group said to the I guess assuming it's his mother-in-law, "What did you do?" And the woman said, "I didn't do anything. Goofy wants us to leave now."
You grabbed his butt. Grandma. That's why he wants to leave.
Don't grab cast members inappropriately, guys. It's not. And gals, it's not okay. Like, we've seen many instances of, different princesses, actors have been saying about how they got groped, or, they reach around and cup their boob or their butt or something.
Right.
This will get you kicked out of the park, except for in this instance, for whatever reason. Gaston stopped the whole line that one time when the one girl walked up to him and put her hands on his boobs, his pecs. And then he's like, "That's not appropriate here." And then had her kicked out of the line. I don't know if she got removed from the park.
Yeah.
Come on. These are people.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Would you like it? I mean, some people would, but most people wouldn't like it if they're trying to do a job and they're trying to make magic and they're trying to work for, for these people. And then people are touching them inappropriately or making inappropriate innuendos or comments to them or trying to pass them their hotel room keys or whatever. It's like they're not there for your personal enjoyment. You didn't pay enough for that. I'm sorry. And then if it was your family members, like your kids or your spouse or your sibling, would you want them being groped by weirdos? I don't think so.
No. No. And they also don't get paid enough.
No, they don't get paid enough to put up with your crap. It's like you're paying. I paid a lot to be here. That doesn't give you the right to mishandle Disney cast members. Okay.
Mishandle.
Keep your appendages to yourself.
Yes, there you
Thank
go.
you. Moving on. Oh, we're going to go to Pixar layoffs.
Yeah, so this is a surprise, but not a surprise, I guess. There were rumors that Pixar was going to have some layoffs. The surprise is, I think, one, that it took them this long to do it because we're pretty far into the year, and two, that they're doing it right before Inside Out 2 comes out.
Well, that's because they finished it.
Yeah,
because I guess that Pixar didn't get many cuts last year, even though everybody else got purged, because they were waiting for them to finish projects. I'm assuming Inside Out 2 was one of them. And now that it's finished, now they can start kicking people out.
So I have to wonder what happens when Elio is finished and when Toy Story 5 is finished. And
I don't know. But apparently now they're moving to just featured films as opposed to doing content for Disney Plus. But they're cutting about 14% of the staff, which is about 150 people.
Yeah, it's the biggest staff cut they've ever had in their history. I don't think it's looking too good for them. I mean, they're Inside Out 2 could do okay. People are saying 80 to 150 million domestic opening weekend, but like I don't know. I really don't know. And if it doesn't do well, if it winds up being another Lightyear, then I think there's going to be a lot more layoffs.
Yeah, Lightyear was a train wreck. And, before they took basically all the stuff they were working on. And I know they were talking about before how they were demoralized at Pixar because they kept making these theatrical releases and they kept just using them basically as fodder to attract subscribers to Disney Plus. And they finally got one put into the theater with Lightyear, but then they mishandled Buzz Lightyear. It wasn't Buzz Lightyear, I'm sorry. And no one was really believing that was the movie that, Andy saw when he was a kid.
No, it's too boring for kids.
It doesn't seem anything like the character. Like Buzz would act like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're the toy of the character, you'd be acting like the character.
Right.
And he wasn't. So it didn't make any sense. And people didn't go. And it bombed. And it cost them $106 million just for that one, not counting how much it cost them for the other ones. And it just wasn't working.
No, I would have loved to have seen an update of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. I mean, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, that made the most sense.
Because that was the story that we kind of went with as the backstory for Buzz Lightyear. That makes sense because it was a very kind of like 90s concept, and Andy would have been all about that.
Right. So I guess employees that are impacted are being notified today about being gone. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise because they've known since January this was coming. They just didn't know who would get the axe. And the problem is, too, you'd say, well, okay, well, you knew it could be a possibility. Why aren't you trying to find another job? Animation is being decimated right now. Like the jobs in animation are being shipped overseas and to Canada. That's what happened with Moana 2 and a lot of stuff. So it's not exactly as easy as it was 5-6 years ago to go find another job in animation.
No, it is not. I don't know what Disney's going to do long term. I mean, they've got, the Canadian branch, and DreamWorks is shipping, outsourcing things. And I just think there are going to be fewer animated movies because they're so expensive and they're risky. They never used to be that risky. Disney, was on a winning streak for a long time. Pretty much everything they put out did well. And now everything they put out in the last couple of years has not done well.
No. So that's going on, sadly. And then we're going to move over to Disneyland, since we're over there anyway with Pixar. Disneyland parades and characters, cast members did vote to unionize. They were talking about it before. They were going to unionize under the Actors Equity Association. They were going to call their union, Magic United. These are the actors that do like the parades and the characters. Now, in Walt Disney World, they are already unionized. In Disneyland, they were not. So now this will apply to them. There are 1,700 cast members who could qualify. Not many voted, though. 953 voted for and 258 voted against. So there's a whole bunch that didn't vote either way.
Yeah.
But now that it's been done, if there's no, anybody sends, puts anything out there, like they question it or anything, then they have to wait and take care of that. But if nobody does that, then they can move forward with making it official faster. I don't think Disney's going to do much to challenge it because they have a bunch of other unions at both Disney World and Disneyland, and they work with them all the time. So I doubt highly that Disney would challenge it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, actually, I'm surprised that Disneyland didn't unionize sooner because they tend to out there. But but what'll happen there is they might have fewer characters too. I mean,
well, they're asking for better working hours and like better, like, because I guess people were like working, like it was so sporadic, it was screwing them up, or they weren't like given either they overworked or their hours were very sporadic.
Yeah,
so they want more like defined limitations on that.
Consistency. Yeah, because well, after the pandemic, I think that it definitely everything kind of came off the rails because the characters for a while you could only catch them in like at least in Disney World, like in the cavalcades or they were behind a rope or whatever. You couldn't walk up to them, hug them. But
well, people keep grabbing people in the rear.
I was going to say, if Goofy's
it's going to be the same thing. You're going to be able to look at them, take a selfie with them in the background because just like they used to, because people can't keep their dang hands to themselves. So that's that. They're going to unionize over in Disneyland. I'll let you talk about this one. So Square Enix is bringing Kingdom Hearts to Steam. Yeah,
so this is really interesting. Kingdom Hearts has not been available on PC. It's only been available on consoles. Mm-hmm. What is going on is Square Enix is in big trouble. They're not doing very well. They missed projections, and they're actually blaming it on the fact that they've been console exclusive for some franchises like Kingdom Hearts. Now it's been on, I think, Switch and PlayStation. I don't know if it's on Xbox or not, but it definitely originated on PlayStation, and they got burnt. The last couple of releases they had that were Sony exclusives did not do well because the install base is not large enough on PlayStation 5 for, to offset the cost of like the Final Fantasy VII remake and some of the other ones. So now they're like, you know what? We're just putting our games on every dang platform and everybody's got a computer. So,
which makes sense. And a lot of people just only want to play on computers. So they're gaming PCs.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are switching to gaming PCs because the consoles there's not much of a difference anymore. There really isn't.
So I guess with this release, it's going to be on June 13th, and they're going to have Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC, and they can be individually purchased, or you get a discount if you just buy the Masterpiece bundle. Yeah. And if you buy that, they're going to have textural updates, graphics, and a new Keyblade weapon called Dead of Night.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I got to give them props for bringing this thing back again and again and again, because a lot of these games are 15, 20 years old and people are still playing them.
Ironically, our daughter is actually named after Kyrie.
Yes, and that was the first game because we played it when you were pregnant with our son.
Yes, and we decided if we had a girl, that would be her name. So when she was born and she had the red hair and blue eyes, of course, it made the most sense. So her name is Kyrie, and she was named after Kingdom Hearts. So that is true. She also is very proud of that. They have a Keyblade that's a Kyrie Keyblade, which she has in her room. Yes, she's very proud of that. So moving on, we're going to do some movie stuff, and then we're going to talk about Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. So Disney, okay, last time we talked, we were talking about the different titles for the Agatha show coming to Disney Plus. Yeah. And you joked, you said it's probably going to be called like Agatha All Along or something, or just Agatha. And it is called Agatha All Along.
It is called Agatha All Along. That's kind of wild. That makes the most sense. The song's about the only thing that anybody remembers from her. She was for those of you who don't know, she was the villain in WandaVision, and I almost said Vision Quest because that's what WandaVision was based on, the comic series, very, very loosely on it. But yeah, she was the villain, and they had the catchy little number, which was big on TikTok. And
it was Agatha all along. Yeah.
Agatha all along, because she was the bad guy all along, which everybody saw coming from like a mile away. But so she's got her own series, and they're deviating wildly from the comics because in the comics, Agatha Harkness is an old lady.
Yeah.
And
They keep doing that. Same with Madam Web.
Yeah.
She's an old lady.
Yeah.
But Agatha,
Aunt May. I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah,
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah. So, the titles they had released were like, Agatha, The Darkhold Diaries, The House of Harkness, Covenant Chaos. And people think, Lying Witch with Great Wardrobes. People think they might be titles of episodes. They're not sure. But the show for sure, they announced it during, I think, the upfronts, is going to be Agatha all along. They also said we are definitely getting Ironheart in 2025 as well.
Yeah, I think,
that's whatever.
I think they're just flushing whatever remnants of Phase 4 and Phase 5 they have in their system. They're just flushing it because it seems like Ironheart they kind of delayed that one as long as they possibly could because like no one's excited about this.
No. So now we're going to go to good news and bad news. Okay. So good news. I mean, we're getting that Skeleton Crew show. Okay, that's not the good news part. That's good news.
That's not the good news.
The new Star Wars Skeleton Crew show is coming, I think, the end of this year.
Yeah.
But one thing that is interesting about it, which I do have some hope for, is the fact that they are going out of their way to try to go back to the old ways that they used in like Star Wars, the original Star Wars films. They're bringing back matte paintings. They went and got an old retired ILM painter. They're doing stop motion animation with Phil Tippett. So Phil Tippett was the guy who created Go Motion for the Atwalkers.
Yeah.
And Empire Strikes Back and the Tauntaun and stuff like that.
That's one thing about the newer Star Wars movies is that they look too good. So when you go from the original trilogy to the prequels to the sequels, it's like, yeah, okay, why'd everything get so crappy? Yeah. It's like, not that it's crappy, but I mean, it was a product of its time, but it's just that, it almost looks too good. And I kind of, miss that Jason and the Argonauts kind of feel too.
Yeah. Well, they're bringing it back. Like, apparently for this, they said that the comment made by John Watts, who's the co-creator of the show, he was talking to Collider in an interview. I got to use all the cool stuff on my most recent Star Wars show. We had pre-mocap. We shot on the volume. We did everything. But the most fun part was we also used all the old school techniques as well. We got Phil Tippett to do stop motion. We did matte paintings, like real old fashioned matte paintings. We got an ILM painter out of retirement to come out and do that. So to me, all this stuff is fun, but it's just another tool and it depends on how you use it.
Yeah. It's interesting because they did some stop motion, I think, on Boba Fett, didn't they? They had the one creature
they might have
in the desert I thought was stop motion.
So they're kind of bringing this all back for Skeleton Crew. I think they're just trying to pull stuff out their rear, make sure people watch it. Yeah. But it's for those who don't know, it's a Disney Star Wars show about kids. So it follows the journey of 4 kids who make a mysterious discovery on the seemingly safe home planet and then get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy, finding their way home and meeting unlikely allies and enemies. Yeah, that's why they're pulling out these things because they're like, hurry, get the things you like. You like Phil Tippett, right?
Yeah,
Here's Phil Tippett.
It feels like the Ewok Adventure or something. Like kids on it. But that's what actually George Lucas, I think, wanted to do originally with the sequels is he was gonna have like a bunch of kids or teenagers.
So I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
this is going the way he wanted. So we'll see how that goes. But that's gonna be an 8-episode series on Disney Plus later this year. Now, the bad news, Johnny Depp is probably not going to be in Pirates of the Caribbean, according to Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised by this.
No.
I mean, he said not for like a cajillion alpacas or whatever, or llamas would he go back. And the way they treat him, I don't know if I blame him. Now, it might not be his decision. It might be that somebody at Disney is like...
Well, Bruckheimer wants him back.
Yeah.
I think from my understanding, it's Disney. Because it's a reboot, so they're going to reboot with all new characters. And then they're also still probably going to do the Margot Robbie Pirates movie. It's a separate movie. Because they were going to let it go before, but then Barbie happened. So apparently Jeff Nathanson, who is the one who wrote the last Pirates of the Caribbean film, is back for this one. And they said that he's got a great third act, but they have to get the first and second acts fixed. But the third act's good. People are like, that's weird. Not really. A lot of times you start with an ending and you work backwards.
Yeah.
Can't speak from experience. But they're talking about the upcoming movies, and he said, this is what Jerry Bruckheimer said, it's a reboot, but if it was up to me, he'd be in it. about Johnny Depp. I love him. He's a good friend. He's an amazing artist, and he's a unique look. He created Captain Jack. That was not on the page. That was him doing a little Pepe Le Pew and Keith Richards. That was his interpretation of Jack Sparrow. And people are not happy. I get the vibe. No Captain Jack. They aren't coming back.
Yeah, pretty much. That should be on a shirt. Yeah. I mean, he is the only reason that people watch those movies. I'm sorry. I mean, Orlando Bloom, the women were like, oh, Orlando Bloom. But like, let's face it. You can have a Pirates movie without the other characters, but you can't have a Pirates movie without Jack Sparrow.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing. So, I mean, he was such an important character. They went and put him in the Pirates of the Caribbean rides.
Yes.
You know, and then when they did the ones overseas, like in China, and they're mostly screens, but it was heavily focused on like the new movies because they were so popular over there.
I just think it's so weird. Like, why is everybody surprised? Because this has actually been rumored since the trial that
I agree.
They were going to reboot it. And Margot Robbie now, they're going to greenlight that because Barbie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Because she was like basically like, I don't think we're doing it now. But now it sounds like they are doing it because in regard to the Margot Robbie Pirates film, he said, it's two different movies. We hope to get them both made. And I think Disney agrees they really want to make the Margot Robbie one. Margot one too, yeah. Yeah,
she'll probably be Red the Pirate. And, you know,
Pick a ginger for real. How about that? There's a thought.
This was planned. Like not to go down this, you know, rabbit hole here, but the whole
get your tinfoil hats on. I think he's right though.
Red the Pirate thing. She came out of nowhere in 2017, whenever they put her in. And this is when Disney was going through and trying to find everything that was problematic on their rides. And they actually got booed, I believe, at D23.
When they announced it, yeah.
Yeah, when they said they were going to take the redhead in the wench auction, which was an incredibly popular character, but because the wench auction was problematic, we had to turn her into a pirate. And then they tried to make her happen. They tried to have her as a walk-around character, and they tried all this other stuff to make her happen. So the next thing is going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to make a Red the Pirate movie. We're going to have Margot Robbie as Red the Pirate, or somebody's going to be Red the Pirate because we got to make Red the Pirate the new, you know, Captain Jack.
Well, Iger said they're pretty much just moving with IP stuff moving forward. So for the theme parks, so they're going to have to make that work as a character because of it. So I'm not sure if that's what Margot Robbie will be playing, but it has been, you know, teased that could be the case. Now moving over to Universal Orlando really quick because we're starting to go long to wrap this up. They have made 3 announcements for houses for Halloween Horror Nights 33.
Yay.
Yeah, I know you love it. It's going to start August 30th, which we talked about before, and go through November 3rd. But the announcement they've made so far was they announced Slaughter Cinema 2 as one of the houses. If you're dying for a B-movie marathon, head to the Cary Drive-In, scream through scenes from Creature, Features, Grindhouse Gore, Spaghetti Westerns, and more. They're basing it on the original was like in 2018. Was I think one I want to say, yeah, the Slaughter Cinema House was 2018. And this new one is going to feature 8 fake films in it. So they made that announcement a few days ago. Yesterday they announced Goblin's Feast Haunted House. This one said, welcome to the Goblin's Feast Tavern and visit the Goblin Village where a lavish feast is being prepared for goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches. Sounds like a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
And you're the main course. So that's the second one they teased. Then today, I didn't even get this up on the blog yet, is Major Sweets Candy Factory.
Oh, okay.
You've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory. The deadly delicious treats turn kids into sugar-fueled fiends.
Wait, what?
That's actually kind of believable.
That is. You know, it's interesting though with Halloween Horror Nights. Lately, look, little pumpkins, little booze on it.
A little booze on there. Oh yeah, it is. Yes,
yeah. Yeah. He's become a mascot kind of of Halloween Horror Nights, but like I like their original stuff better lately than I do the IP stuff. It just seems like they put a lot more thought into it. I think it's a lot more creative.
Don't tell Disney.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's what I have for today.
Okay, guys. Well, there you go. So please subscribe wherever you found this podcast, on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go out to piratesandprincesses.net for more objective Disney news. Follow us on Facebook and X, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye. Thanks again for listening. More news and videos are available on our website at www.piratesandprincesses.net. Our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. If you like the show, please consider subscribing and leaving us a positive review on iTunes and other podcast platforms. This podcast is a production of Clownfish Studios, LLC, and Web Reef Media, and we'll see you next time.